What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Pour. I'm George.
I'm Brian.
We're talking bourbon industry headlines. This is our little news video that we're going to be putting out each week. Today, we're going to be talking about the news last week that MGP is going to scale down production. We're going to be talking about Maker's Mark's new master distiller and blender, and then a few other stories, including some bourbon release news and bourbon events going on all throughout the country. So first, we're going to start off with this news. Like we said last week, MGP announcing that it will scale down whiskey production in 2025. Sales plunged by 24% over the last 3 months compared to the previous year, according to the company. So much of the decline was in the mid to value priced items across its portfolio of spirits, which does include more than just whiskey and bourbon. Mm-hmm. They produce tequilas, rums, and other sorts. So the decline is really seen in those mid to value items. So CEO and President David Bratcher said that the company is instead of focusing on production, going to focus on the brands that they own, like Ross and Squibb, Penelope, Rebel, and Lux Row. So we can see that. One important note before everybody freaks out, I think, is the bourbon boom bust here. One thing they reported in that exact same report is that Premium Plus sales rose 1%, which was driven by American whiskey and tequila that the company offers.
I kind of thought that number was odd, honestly, that it was such a big dip, and then, like you said, the value section. That's kind of surprising to me, because a lot of what they source, I don't know what they consider value, but it's in a different value section than what I would think of when I normally say value. But it's still good information, but they're responding and going in-house. I think that's cool to get their own products out. Sure.
And I think too with this. There are so many distilleries out there. It's kind of crazy. It's a pretty saturated market, but anyway.
Okay. So next up is the Maker's Mark. They announced that they've got a new master distiller and lead blender. So their new master distiller is Blake Layfield, and he's master distiller at the Loretta, Kentucky-based Legendary Distillery, and then he was previously the Senior Director of Innovation, Blending, and Quality at Maker's Mark. And then Beth Buckner. She was announced as the lead blender. So she has been at the distillery since 2013. And the company basically just says she has an exceptional palate with significant in development and into like the wood finishes. She was big in that. Both positions were open for 2 years, which that's kind of hard to believe. So it took them a long time to make this decision. So obviously they wanted to put the right people in there, and the two were replaced. It was Denny Potter and Jane Bowie. So they actually went together and formed a new distillery. They left, and Potter Jane Distilling Company. Okay. They formed that in 2022, which I've not heard of, but I'm sure with those names we're probably going to hear from them in the future.
Yeah, I think some of the stuff that I was reading about it is that distillery actually hasn't opened yet. They're still
aging.
Yeah. So anyway, really interesting news. Kind of surprising that a distillery that large took 2 years to fill such significant positions, and then they looked within. I'm glad they looked within, but people were kind of sitting there, kind of interesting. So all right, next news story up. I think this one's kind of fun, Brian. So the Nashville, Indiana-based Hard Truth and Bear Wallow Distillery. A lot of people know about Hard Truth, but Bear Wallow is a smaller distillery just down the road. Both of them are competing in the Indiana Chamber of Commerce's annual Coolest Thing Made in Indiana tournament. So right now, the first round has already closed, the voting, and both of them advanced. So there's 32 remaining participants, all with products that are made in Indiana. You can vote on the Indiana Chamber website. We have a link in the description to do that. Vote by this Friday, tomorrow, so that both of those can advance to the next round. And the tournament overall is going to be ending in early December, so we hope one of them will make it to that final round and win. The cool thing, even if they make it into the top 8, they will get kind of this high-quality video that they're going to be filming to feature each of the top 8. So that'd be kind of cool for both of them, kind of showcasing what we have here in Indiana. I think that was great. So that news was reported. I got that report from the Brown County Democrat, the small newspaper there in Brown County, Indiana.
You know what's actually cool about that? I actually voted on that prior to you sending that to me. I saw it. somewhere online, and I voted on I didn't get the first 64, but I voted in this round.
Okay.
And they make you vote on all categories, so you can't just go in and vote for those two. You got to vote for all of them. But still, really cool. And there's some good brands, and I think it's a cool program. So that was really neat.
Yeah. Now on to some bourbon release news. Brian, you got the first one here that I think sounds pretty cool.
Okay. Yep. I've got Four Roses. So they've announced 3 new single barrels. They're going to be releasing the OBSF, the OESK, and the OESO. And I know they're big on their different mash bills. And I know that means a lot to different people. Whenever I say that, I don't know much about that. But they have 10 different mash bills that they use, and each of those are going to be aged 7 to 9 years. Okay. They're single barrels, obviously, and then they're going to I'm sorry. Their single barrel program started 20 years ago. And then they've just kind of this is kind of to celebrate the 20th anniversary of that.
And a big splash of 3 new ones. Right?
Yeah. So the notes that you're going to get on those, so the OBSF has herbs, kind of a light rye, apple, vanilla, clove, cola. Sounds pretty good. And the OESK's got baking spice, mellow oak, tea leaves, and caramel. And the OESO's got red fruit, vanilla, brown sugar, and a delicate oak. Man, that sounds pretty good too.
That sounds very awesome.
I don't know what these are going to come in as price-wise. I don't think they've released that yet. Okay. Obviously, 7 to 9 year offering, so hopefully it's not going to break the bank too bad. They tend to put out some good stuff that's reasonably priced. Yeah. So.
I'm not one to be able to decode all of those different letters and stuff. I know that it does have to do with they've got 2 different yeast strains, and then they've got 5 different mash bills, and then they'll throw those yeast strains in each of those mash bills to make the 10 different offerings, which is super cool and unique, and but still hard for me to decode. But I guess each of those letters means like different flavor profiles or whatever. Right. So anyway, cool. All right, next one up is Ross and Squibb Distillery announced its release of the Remus Gatsby Reserve 2024 edition. This is going to be 104.9 proof, age statement of 15 years, and it is super limited. The MSRP on this one is $229.99 for a 750 milliliter bottle. This is the 3rd edition of the Gatsby Reserve, and it celebrates the era of F. Scott Fitzgerald's 1925 novel, The Great Gatsby. Master distiller Ian Sturzman said that the release features 2 bourbon mash bills. So one of those is a 75% corn, 21% rye, and 4% malted barley. And the other one is even higher rye, 60% corn, 36% rye, and 4% malted barley. Which that second mash bill sounds pretty familiar. That sounds like the one that the Crude Dudes Whiskey Club over in North Vernon picked.
Yeah,
that sounds like the same mash bill.
It was delicious.
Yeah, it was delicious. So look for that Gatsby, although super limited. So I don't think I've actually ever had a pour of Gatsby stuff, but I've heard good things.
I have. I've had it once. I had the 2022 offering.
The very first one.
So, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, good stuff. So the next up is the J. Mattingly. The 1885 distillery has announced they're doing kind of a gift program. It's going to be they're going to roll this out so you can do custom gifts and have them sent out to your friends and family. Okay. They're out of Franklin, Kentucky, and then the distillery is going to offer up. It's a double staved bourbon or rye, and then it lets you pick the color of wax, and then you get the name imprinted on the bottle, and they'll ship it out to you. So cool. You can have it shipped to yourself, and you can give it to them, or you can have it shipped to wherever your party lives at. The prices are going to start at $155, and then they're for a limited time from the distillery that offers free shipping. If you buy 2 or more bottles, so at $310 you get it free shipping. And then you can go to the jmattingly1885.com for info if you want to order those. It sounds like a cool program.
Yeah, I like how you get to pick the wax color. I think that's kind of cool. So if that's something that you're into, just visit that link. We'll also have that in the description in the video. Next one up, Uncle Nearest is going to release a toasted single barrel that's 122.6 proof, and V. Edie Butler suggests pairing it with your favorite chocolate. That was written on the label, so I thought that was kind of interesting. Normally you don't see food pairings with bourbons or anything like that. So the distillery describes it as the most distinct profile of any of its whiskeys. So they're pretty excited about this. No word on exactly when it will be released, but the label did say 2024. So we should be expecting it, but
Yeah.
you only got so much time in 2024 left, so we should be seeing it. Got that information from Cumming Whiskey's Instagram page, so be sure. We usually say that on this show when we pull those. Go to Cumming Whiskey and give them a follow.
Yeah. Okay. Then the next release we got is from New Riff.
Okay.
We're big fans of New Riff, and they're coming out with a 6-year rye. It's going to be a single barrel. It's going to come in at 110 proof. They're from Newport, Kentucky, which is about two hours away from here, 2 hours 15 minutes away. Mm-hmm. No word on this when it's actually going to be released, but it said it will be out in time for the holidays. So this one was also posted on Cumming Whiskey as well. So that's where we got that information from.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Love New Riff. Love their rye. So look forward to seeing that. This next one is pretty funny. So professional wrestling legend Ric Flair, he's going to be getting into the whiskey business. Wooski. Woo! Woo! Which is, of course, a play on his famous expression, Nature Boy's finely aged Kentucky bourbon, going to be hitting shelves here in the near future. Flair posted this on his Instagram account. The label shows that it will be 90 proof. No word on an exact release date. I did pull that information from WDRB, news station out of Louisville. Yeah. So Ric Flair going to be releasing Wooski.
Yeah, I grew up a big wrestling fan. I love Ric Flair. Yeah. Now we have a local distillery that here in our hometown, Seymour, and we always pay homage to another wrestler, Rip Rogers. So I'm hoping that they're getting to the distillery. So I hope we get a Rip Rogers.
The Hustler.
I hope we get a bourbon or something released along that line.
For sure.
So I know he has a beer, but
I got a beer. Now we need the bourbon.
Yeah, but no, I love the Ric Flair. Yeah,
so put Brian down for a ball.
Now we're kind of going to move on to bourbon events. So we got there's some things coming up. The American Packard Museum bids in bourbon. It's going to be from 6:30 to 10 p.m. on November 16th. It's at the museum in Dayton. Dayton, Ohio. So depending on where you're at, if you can get to that, they're going to have live jazz, food, top shelf bourbon tasting, a cigar lounge, silent auction, table games, and then you can go to Eventbrite to get the tickets. So if you're into that, if you're in that area, that sounds like a fun evening. So definitely go check that out. Starlight is going to be hosting a tasting of products, barrel picks from Bourbon Brotherhood. So that's going to be from 5:30 to 7:30 on November 20th. So that's coming up here soon at the distillery down in Starlight. If you're in the Louisville area, it's only about a 35-40 minute drive, so it's not far. And then our very own Vic's Liquors here in Seymour is going to be hosting High West Distillery tasting from 6 to 8 next Wednesday on November 20th. It'll be in the store, free to attend. So if you're in the area, come check it out. Yeah.
All right, cool. Last few events that we have coming up that we found. Western Reserve Distiller is going to be hosting a bourbon tasting menu experience. That's from 1 to 4 p.m. November 23rd at the Ritz-Carlton in Cleveland, Ohio. Ohio having several events that we found here. So they're going to be tasting a lot of cool premium offerings from Buffalo Trace, including Blanton's Gold, Elmer T. Lee, E.H. Taylor, Eagle Rare, Bowman Brothers, Small Batch, and then a few different expressions from Western Reserve. You can get tickets online. We will have the link for that in the description. Big Red Liquors, that's a chain of liquor stores throughout Indiana, going to be having its 2024 Bourbon Expo. That's from 1 to 4 p.m. December 7th. That's at the Indiana State Fairgrounds in Indianapolis. It is in a specific pavilion, so that'll be on your ticket. There's going to be samples, discounts on bottles, all kinds of different bottles and vendors there.
They do a lot of right-to-buy auctions at that point, too, so you can get some really nice bottles.
And entry into that Rare Bourbon Lottery. Tickets for that are on Eventbrite. I think it is $40 to enter, and I think it's $10 to park, so $50 gets you in to do all of that and a chance.
And get there early. Don't wait around because the lines can get pretty long for it. So.
They have billed this as the best chance to score a Pappy. So see that. Last event and last little news item that we have this week. It's a little far off, but the Louisville Triple Crown of Running will return for the 40th year in March. The Whiskey Roast series of races that includes a 5K, 10K, and 10-mile run. They're on March 1st, 15th, and 29th, respectively. You can sign up online. That email came into the show, and looks like a really cool way to celebrate kind of the bourbon and whiskey culture in Louisville.
Get to see the downtown area and see some different.
Ahead of the Kentucky Derby. So just a couple months before the Kentucky Derby. So all right, cool. Well, that is all of the headlines that we have for the week. I'm sure there's more out there. Be sure to tune in next week when we share some of the more important topics going on in whiskey. Let us know some of the things that you've heard, and if you like these videos, if it's something that you find value in, we'll keep doing them. So, all right. Well, we're going to end this episode the same way that we always do, and that is when you're with your family and your friends, always share your whiskey.